my name is Oliver. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a fantastic Pride Month. Today's video is quite an interesting one. I will be sewing and quilting my very own Pride flag. It's this one, the Achillean flag, which we'll learn more about later in the history section. Yeah. This video is split into a few different parts. There's intro, which won't take very long, and then there's the sewing bit, and then the history. That way, if you only want to watch the sewing bit or just watch the history bit, feel free to do so. Isn't that what Pride Month's all about? Liking what you like. Yeah, that's sort of it. It's really like the basics, the bare bones of the video. I hope you enjoy and you find it interesting. Hello there, welcome to my floor. I just thought a change of scenery might be nice. This is my bookshelf. It's cool, I think, anyway. So, let me take you through the plan of the flag, because it's important when you're doing these sort of things to have a plan, even if it's a little one, before going into it, so you actually know what you're doing. So, let me do a sort of material haul first. So, I have my white fabric. This is from my Victorian nightshirt video, which you should totally watch after this video. I have a lot of this fabric left, so it's gonna be for the stripe. Even though it's white and not like a whitey green, I don't know if like you can buy that sort of colour, but I have this left over and I'm not gonna go out and buy more fabric if I have this one. So this will work perfectly fine. And I think I'll probably have enough of it that I can use for the backing as well for the quilt. That way it's just much easier. Then this is just full of like fabric. There's a local second-hand like fabric shop that I go to, so I get a lot of my fabric from there. This is the blue. I bought it at the same time that I bought the fabric for my wizard's cloak video, because I was buying fabric, so I thought I would buy fabric then too. It made sense. So this, oh man, you can't even see it, but I was originally going to go with the length being of like a normal pride flag. They're always 3 feet by 5 feet, and I own a couple like that, but I don't think there's enough of this fabric to make that, which is fine. I don't mind making a smaller one. But yeah, so we got the blue and the white, and then this is the green. Well, these two bits anyway. This was for the leaves, I think. Well, this is for the lighter green and this is for the darker green. I know on camera they're the same colour, but this one is lighter than this one. And this one's patterned, so even if they were the same colour, there's still that differential between them. But yeah, so this will be dark green, light green. And then, yeah. I thought it would be fun to incorporate patterns. I originally wanted to have all of them be patterned, but pattern fabric is more expensive and you're not always going to find what you're looking for. Like, this was the closest colour I could get to the flag. Like, there wasn't going to be a light blue patterned fabric that I enjoyed. But this one has white little flowers on. I don't think you can see it on camera very well. My phone camera is awful. But yeah, little leaf pattern, and then this one's plain. So it is a nice, I think they'll look good all together. Like, I made sure to, the colours aren't 100%, but they're never going to be. And this video is just for fun. Like, I'm not being commissioned to make a pride flag, you know? But yeah. And then this is my wadding. It's the right size. This is actually the size for like the 3 by 5 foot pride flag, because I thought I would have enough fabric and I was like, oh, I can make like a replica of one of those, but I won't. But it's nice because it means I have wadding left over for another project, which is like fine by me. Yeah, I think let's get right on to sewing. have my 2 pieces, and I did a pretty I did a pretty good job, I think, of cutting them. Get off, Belle. Belle. No. They're more or less okay. This one's a bit wonky, but it's okay because a lot of this extra bit is for hemming, because I made sure to have a seam allowance. Well, I say made sure. I tried my best anyway. So I'm gonna have to ask you to leave if you don't leave my stuff alone, Belle, because I need to sew, man. I now have all my flag stripes done, so I'm gonna clip them all together and then just to see how it's gonna look. Okay, I kind of pinned it wrong, but here is, oh, you can't even see that. There we go. Here's what it's sort of gonna look like. Oh, it looks good. Like, this is a very solid base. Yeah. So yeah. I'm gonna create the green carnation, and then I'm going to sew this all together, and then it goes the wadding and then the back, and then we're done. And so it's a pretty easy sort of project. Okay, let's move on to the flower. The flower isn't perfect, but I think I did a really good job, actually. I mean, that looks really good. Also, I opened my curtains so we have a bit of a better lighting, so you can actually see how blue the fabric is. But like, look at that. I think I did a pretty swell job, if I do say so myself. If I'm gonna sew the applique on first, using a zigzag stitch around. That way, it'll still stay. It won't fray. That's what I'm talking about. And then I'm gonna sew these little guys, sew the actual flag together. I want to apologize for the sewing footage. Like, when I set up my tripod, I thought that you could see the sewing machine, but instead you're just getting a lot of the back of my head. So I'm very sorry for that. I hope at least some of the sewing footage is, interesting. I thought I would leave it in so you could still get like a grasp of what I was sewing. For next time, I will make sure my tripod is actually set up correctly. So apologies again for this. Okay, so I forgot to film me pinning and sewing the actual stripes on, but yeah, look at that, it's upside down. How cool! I did that! I made a flag, that's so cool. Yeah, so on the back I did I originally did an overlocking stitch, and then I realised that was like complete overkill, so I just did a zigzag for the rest of it, because obviously this is going to be on the inside, so even if it does fray, it's not going to fray and damage the things, but I thought having a zigzag stitch there would be like the best case scenario, just in case something does happen. Yeah. time for wadding. Okay, so now I'm doing the back. So I have my backing piece all cut out, and then the main bit, and also the wadding. This is an off cut, but you get the gist. I grabbed the wrong one. So now I'm going to pin everything together and just sew around the outside. It got messed up. I don't know how, but like, oh man, I like, look at that. I don't know what happened. I don't feel there's any point in unpicking all of it and trying again. Damn it! Like, ta-da! Oh, it's so cool. There are still a few little like threads I need to cut, but you can't see them on camera, so it doesn't matter. Oh, it's so cool, and I can, you know, if I was going to like a pride parade, I'd probably wear it like this. Or I suppose, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm going to use it for, but it's cool. I'm so pleased. It turned out like okay. Apart from obviously where I messed up sewing the edges, that is a bummer. But everything else came out really good, especially like the flower. I was so nervous that it would look awful. Let me move back a bit. Yeah, it's a pretty big flag. It's almost my wingspan. That's not an accurate unit of measurements. So not as big. Like I said, like when I was doing the planning, not as big as like normal flags, but still pretty big. I'm looking forward to having this like on my bed or on my chair or something, because it is, you know, a quilt, so it is comfy. Obviously, like the wadding wasn't as thick as I would have hoped, so it's not gonna be like the warmest, honestly. But I think my cat's gonna like it. My little kitten, she'll enjoy sleeping on it, no doubt. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say about it. The actual flag there is. So let's move on to the history. So, what exactly does being a Killian mean? Well, a Killian is an umbrella term that can be used by any man or man-aligned people who are attracted to other men or men-aligned people. So basically what that means, you can be like bi, gay, ace, non-binary, demi-boy, and as long as you're a man or a man-aligned person and you're attracted to other men or men-aligned people, then you can use this term. I personally use it because sexuality is confusing, but also I'm asexual and I'm attracted to men and men-aligned people, so it's just a nice term to have, even though no one really gets it. Speaking of, it's not the same as being gay. The gay flag and Killian are two separate flags. Gay is when men are attracted to men, and a Killian, again, is an umbrella term. It's also the direct opposite of sapphic, which is women and women-aligned people who are attracted to women and women-aligned people. And again, in the sort of capacity, although sapphic is usually interchanged with like lesbianism. Sorry, I'm just watching, because I know I'm gonna have to like cut the video when I promise Wild is important. I'm not just putting this on in the background. I promise you it comes up later. What is the flag about? Well, the 2 blue stripes are the symbol for men or masculinity, and then the greeny off-white one in the middle represents joy, and the flower in the middle is a green carnation, which will be important later when we get into that. Now, the name Achillean comes from Homer's Iliad, or the story of Troy, and Achilles is a Greek warrior, and he is in love with Patroclus. Well, the reason they're in air quotes is because I'm gonna have to so Achilles and Patroclus are not explicitly gay. They're not in an explicit relationship, but it's sort of written in that way, or many people have interpreted their relationship in that way. I suppose it's like the same with, like Alexander the Great and his mate. I'm so sorry, I forgot his name. Their relationship, we're getting way off track, but their relationship is also like inferred to be, and obviously like Alexander the Great was a massive fan of Achilles and looked up to him in his like attempt to conquer the world. Yeah, back on track, I promise. An early use of the term Achillean in English to describe sexuality was in John Addington Symonds' 1883 book A Problem in Greek Ethics, chapters 3 and chapter 10. Symonds was an English author and advocate for male love. Achillean wasn't a popular term to describe one's sexuality during this time, as, well, it was very taboo to be a homosexual, but there was terms like Uranian, although that one wasn't very popular, invert, which was probably the main use, but it wasn't very nice to describe gay people, and like sodomite, like other terms like that. But Achillean was definitely coined during this term. A lot of these terms weren't very nice because during the Victorian era especially, there was a lot of prejudice against homosexuals, especially after the 1885 Labouchere Amendment. The Labouchere Amendment was something we're going to touch on later, but I'm just going to quickly add this in, was an overturn of the 1533 Buggery Act by Henry VIII. Hey, Henry VIII. And, but the Labouchere Amendment made it more illegal to be gay, but they took away the death penalty and instead just made it 2 years of imprisonment and hard labour. Let's get on to green carnations, which I didn't talk about when we went over the flag's design. Now this is where Wilde comes in. Oscar Wilde is a notable homosexual. He was imprisoned for gross indecency in 1890, I think. Forgive me. He was in love with this chap named Bosie, or Lord Alfred Douglas, and the Marquess of Queensberry, Bosie's father, took Wilde to court for gross indecency against his son, and Oscar Wilde lost because he was a bit full of himself. That's not an overstatement. He was like cracking jokes in court and everything. Like, he genuinely thought he would win, but there was a lot of evidence against him and his own testimony. Like, the picture of Dorian Gray was used in his trial for sodomy because he was like quite explicitly gay. People were aware of Oscar Wilde's sexuality, so it was not a shock that he went to prison. But he's definitely become a big historical figure when you're looking at queer history, because he is an important person to look at, since he probably has one of the most famous court cases of gross indecency. So in 1892, during one of his plays, he got one of the main actors to wear a green carnation. Green carnations are a symbol of sort of uniqueness and not normal, because they're a genetic mutation which causes their green colour. So by having this symbol, it sort of showed that, you know, gay people were not normal, but they were also like beautiful flowers, I guess. But that was sort of how it was presented was sort of coined later, as Oscar Wilde just put it in one of his plays, and because he was such a notable character, he had many adoring fans, so everyone in his inner circle started to wear green carnations. You can actually see them wearing them in this clip. That's what they're wearing on their lapels, green carnations, and they became a symbol of his inner circle, and many of his inner circle were queer. And that sort of progressed onto other gay men who were aware of Oscar Wilde, who wanted to sort of have a subtle nod to their homosexuality, but it wasn't explicit, nothing they could get in trouble for, as it was simply a flower they could wear. Sort of like the blue hair and pronouns of that time. Oh, that's not funny. But yeah, I don't think there's much more to say on the history, as unless I'm going very deeply into, you know, the story of the Iliad or Oscar Wilde's history, but that would take a very long time and probably deserve separate videos for themselves. I definitely am going to do one on Oscar Wilde, because he is certainly a guy. I personally do not like him because he is quite a controversial figure, but no one really regards him as one because of how well renowned he is. But yeah, that was my personal beef with Oscar Wilde. Oh my god. I have read The Picture of Dorian Gray, I've watched Wilde, I've watched a production of The Importance of Being Earnest, which was really good. I watched the National Theatre one with Ncuti Gatwa. Dude, it was really good, actually. I enjoyed it. He's not a bad playwright and he's not a bad author, but he was not the best person, and I feel people put him too high on a pedestal. I feel like it's partly because of his queerness that they put him so highly up on this imaginary pedestal, as, you know, people tend to, you know, infantilize gay men quite a bit. They see them as people who could do no wrong. Well, usually anyway. I think you can understand sort of what I'm getting at. There's obviously a lot more nuance to this that I'm not specifically getting at, but yeah. But yeah, I just didn't want this video to be too long, so I just wanted to do a quick overview. But this has basically turned into an Oscar Wilde video. But I hope you learn a bit more about this identity, and you also enjoyed me sewing. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say regarding this. If need be, I can always add it in while editing. But yeah, like usual, my sources will be in the description if you want to check out this sort of history for yourself, or you want to do some extra reading or whatever. Yeah, I hope you have a fantastic day or night. Bye bye.